Did you see that shit? MMA podcast. Hosted by mixed martial arts journalist Mike Strauss, aka Strauss21, and Chicago's number one underground comedian, Apollo Taj Mahal.
Yo, Mike.
What's up, bro?
Did you see that shit?
What shit?
Apparently, UFC is having a pay-per-view this weekend. I had no clue.
Yeah, not only is UFC 224 going on, that's headlined by Raquel Pennington as she goes for the belt against Amanda Nunes, but Bellator 199, that's free. That's going on too on the Paramount Network.
And it's also part of the heavyweight Grand Prix with two light heavyweights.
Is the last fight in the first round, and you and I both think this is probably going to be the best fight in the first round, and it's King Mo and Ryan Bader.
Because I feel that these are two of the only people who are still somewhat in their prime.
I definitely agree with that. So let's start there. Let's start with the two cards this weekend. We're not going to run down the entire cards by any means or give picks even, because we will be back with another episode later this week when we will do that. So we'll just keep it simple. Let's start with Bellator 199, though. Let's start with King Mo and Bader.
How do I phrase this? This is a really great light heavyweight fight.
I definitely looked forward to Mir and Fedor.
Yeah.
Because it's
nostalgia.
You know what? You're in my head because that's exactly the word I was going to say. That was a nostalgia-based fight. But this fight is something that the MMA purists could really get behind because there's no gimmicks to this one. Yeah, you do have the heavyweight Grand Prix shit. You got that.
And you have a bit of a gimmick with King Mo.
But that's him, though. He is King Mo.
Honestly,
as his entrance music will tell you.
I'm King Mo, like heavyweight champ.
Yes, but
This is King Mo.
But he is a great fighter.
He's a good fighter. I like King Mo a lot. I wouldn't say great.
I think he's a little past his prime, but he's still a competitive fighter. There we go.
I think he could. I don't think he will, but I think he could beat Bader.
I don't know. He's very competitive, man. You can never really count him out. No matter what matchup he has, he's well-rounded enough where I feel he can compete with pretty much everybody.
He's a really good wrestler. He's a very, very solid striker. He actually destroyed Ryan Bader at the collegiate level in wrestling, but it's fair to point out Ryan Bader was, I think, a freshman at the time.
Yeah.
But, be that as it may, the thing that worries me is I don't know if King Mo has a chin anymore.
How dare you, sir?
I mean, Emmanuel Newton landed that spinning back fist a couple years back. Now, that wasn't even that flush, but you remember he just fell like a tree. And Ryan Bader's got a ton of power.
This is interesting because I feel Ryan Bader kind of fell off this weird map after the John Jones fight. And you didn't know where he was going to go because he was starting to win and lose. And then it kind of looked like he was putting it together. And then he left the UFC and went to Bellator. So I think we're going to see a different Ryan Bader in there. Man, that Phil Davis fight was amazing. It really made me feel like Ryan Bader is a top light heavyweight. I used to never believe that until the Phil Davis fight.
Yeah, no, I definitely think Ryan Bader is a top light heavyweight. We'll see if he belongs, with the big boys. Also on that card, Paul Daly, who is none too pleased with Bellator and Scott Coker right now. He
can't go anywhere else.
Well, he wants. I guess the story is he wants to fight out his contract and then be done with MMA. But he is taking on John Fitch in his Bellator debut. We're going to be speaking with John Fitch a little bit later today, not in this episode.
I've been bragging to everybody.
We're going to have the John Fitch conversation. We will have that up in the next episode before his debut. So this is an awesome fight.
This is an amazing fight, but this is a duplicate fight. Because this is exactly the Roy McDonald fight. I'm going to watch the same fight and be just as happy.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Or, we just saw
Paul Daly doesn't learn.
Paul Daly connected with Larkin, and, I don't think John Fitch is going to stand and bang with him.
He's too smart.
He's a very smart fighter. We'll see. I would definitely, if I was going to put
I
money
don't think John Fitch has ever been knocked out, has he?
Yeah, Jenny Hendricks knocked John Fitch out.
Yeah, but he knocked out everybody.
That was back when pre-USADA.
That was back when he was taking everything he could, I guess.
But moving over to UFC 224, you have Amanda Nunes making another title defense against Raquel Pennington.
I hate to say this, I don't care. Is this bad? I'm sorry, UFC. Bellator won this week.
Well, I do like the co-main event of Kelvin Gastelum and Jacare Souza. This fight is very interesting.
That's really different for the middleweight division because if Kelvin wins, do we say he's a top contender?
He already is, regardless. The thing with Kelvin is I'm a huge fan of Kelvin, but not at 185. So
he's too small.
And the UFC wants him at 170. So
they should do everything in their power get him to the UFC performance, have him practice uppercuts with Francis Ngannou. And
He can make it. He's done it before. I think it's more of a discipline issue with him.
because his body seems like it should go.
Yeah, he could definitely do it. I mean, he's done it before.
He looks like a natural 170 pounder.
Yeah, this is a scary fight for him because Jacare's a big guy. He's a massive 185.
He's giant and he's scary and he snaps limbs.
And if you haven't figured out, you're listening to the Did You See That Shit Mixed Martial Arts podcast. I am Mike Strauss, a.k.a. Strauss21.
And I am Chicago's #1 underground comic, self-proclaimed Apollo Taj Mahal, and you are listening to the fastest growing podcast out there, the Did You See That Shit podcast.
We appreciate all the love and support, guys. Follow us on all the social media platforms at DYSTSP. There's a little underscore in between there. Just look for an orange smiley face, poop in his eyes. That's us.
His name is Jeffrey.
His name is Jeffrey. If you want to get more personal, give us a call, 708-669-4777, or shoot me an email, mike@didyousee.shit.com.
Also, if you want to listen to the podcast like you're doing right now, either use the app that you're using, which is probably iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, TuneIn app, radio, or did you find your way to our website at didyousee.shit.com because we're official?
Or maybe you're on the YouTube channel where all of the missing time content is.
Yeah, we got live streams. We got a bunch of stuff on there, and we got more to come, man. There's some cool stuff that's about to happen with this whole thing. And one of the coolest things that's happened recently is our new partner, our friend, Fight Fit Lifestyle. Man. You just got one of the coolest looking shirts on that I have possibly seen in a long time.
Yeah, we want to send a big shout out to Fight Fit Lifestyle. All of their gear, fightfitlifestyle.com. They have shirts for not just men, but men, women, children.
I ordered the glasses.
They have glasses. They have hats. They have a ton of awesome gear, super affordable, and it is run by a fighter himself. So he's an entrepreneur. He's a fighter. He's a little bit of everything.
Oh, and I think he's been on the show.
Ocho.
Oh.
Shout out there.
Yeah.
Again, that's Fight Fit Lifestyle, guys. Go check it out. Love it. Buy it.
Oh, yeah. Great hats, man. I'm going to wear those glasses every day now with this nice sun.
So a while back, Devin Powell made some headlines, and it wasn't because of his time Dana White's looking for a fighter. If you remember, he was the gentleman that unfortunately popped a testicle while training with Joe Lozon.
Oh, Joe, why?
Well, we had a chance to speak with him a while back, and we finally got around to playing the interview. So here's our little conversation with maybe the toughest dude in the world, Devin Powell.
I want to welcome UFC lightweight Devin Powell to the show. What's going on, Devin?
Not too much. Yourself?
You know, hanging in there. So Nostro's MMA, man, that's your gym, right?
Yep, that's mine.
How did that all come together?
It is, it kind of means welcome home. I used to work at a passport center for like 7.5 years, and it's pretty much just a dead-end job that I hated, and I finally found an opportunity to take over an MMA gym. So we closed down their gym because it was kind of going under, and I renovated and made my own academy there, and I just called it Nostos MMA. I just thought it was fitting. I did a little research. It was based upon the soldiers coming home from the Trojan War, and they called it the Nostos. So
That's very cool, man. I like that you put a lot of thought into that, too. That shows that you are an intelligent dude. So did the catastrophic injury, did that happen at your gym or did that happen at Joe's gym?
that happened at Joe Lozon's gym.
Okay. And for people listening that may not have heard you tell your story on the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani, could you briefly, I'm sure you've told it 1,000 times, but can you briefly just kind of talk about the severe injury that you had?
Yeah, I mean, I was training with Joe each Monday. We usually drive up and do some no-gi jiu-jitsu and also some kickboxing with one of his other coaches. And I was rolling with him after we finished class, and he was trying to pass my guard, and his knee came up and straight down, and it ruptured my testicle. Pretty much just exploded the thing. And the contents on the inside spilled to the outside. And I tried to play it off and tell myself I was okay. And I went to a walk-in clinic, but because I have the UFC's accident or injury insurance, they didn't look at it like a normal insurance, and they shooed me out the door. So I waited a day and a half and finally got to another clinic because I didn't want to sit in pain anymore. And everybody told me that I needed to be seen. So I listened, and they ultrasounded it and just said that I ruptured it and that I needed emergency surgery. So that's what happened.
Well, I'm glad you're doing okay, man. That whole story is just, it's horrifying. It's horrifying.
Yeah, it was rough for sure.
You're an amazing man because you waited like 48 hours before. I mean, yeah, you tried to go, but they turned you away. But you really waited about 2 days until you had medical attention, right?
Yeah, it was Monday, probably right at like 11 a.m. that the injury happened, a little over a month ago now, and I went and checked it out, and it felt very messed up. And by that, because we were leaving and we were right next to a clinic that we would just stop and check it out. And when we went to do that, they shoot us away. So it went from me being looked at almost immediately after on Monday morning to me getting something to drink to kill the pain and trying to lay in bed for a full day. And then it was late at night on Tuesday whenever I had the surgery. So it was like a little over a day and a half.
Wow. Well, thank God it worked out, man. Thank God you're doing all right. Any word on a new fight yet?
Nothing right now. I've been trying to stay active, trying to keep my name out there, and this obviously brought it out there a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But right now I'm just getting back to training. I accepted a fight short notice with Evan Dunham, but he ended up picking a different fight that made more sense for him.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's kind of all I can do. If I get asked to take a fight, I just say yes. And I'm in a tough position because I lost 2 decisions. My last one was a super close split decision, and it's not easy going 0-2 in this sport, especially in the UFC. You know, I've never lost 2 in a row, and, but I've also never lost anything but close decisions, except for my first UFC fight. I just kind of wasn't all there, and I lost unanimous. But yeah, it's tough. You know, there's so many UFC athletes. I'm working to get that next one, but it's just a waiting game, and trying to stay ready all the time is just it's kind of a nightmare, you know, because you never really have a resting period. The surgery itself was kind of the first time I get to rest my whole body in a while because I had to.
Yeah, right, and that's saying something, man. The first time you had a chance to rest was for a surgery. Yeah, you mentioned your first couple fights in the UFC. Your first fight was Drakkar Klose. We've seen what he's been able to do. I mean, he's an absolute he's a horror for anybody at 170, and then 170 or 155 rather. He used to fight at 170, and then Daryl Horcher. You mentioned a close split decision loss. So you're right there, man. You've had a rough go, but I think that you are definitely a UFC quality fighter.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. I know that I can hang with those guys, and getting to go over and train with Joe now each week has really put a lot into perspective, and it's made me a lot more confident as well and understanding my belonging. And it's just a matter of getting that next one, going out and pulling the trigger more, you know, knowing exactly my place and getting the job done, getting my hand raised.
For sure. Going away from fighting here, I know that you're a fan of the ink, as am I. Have had a chance to get any new tattoos?
No, because I don't get paid to sit around, and now I have surgery bills. So I usually try and get tattooed right after fights because I obviously will have a little bit more money to do it. And also I know that if I fight, I'm not going to fight again in the next however many weeks, you know, or get a call at least to get a fight. So I hate getting tattooed, and then I'll never do it if I'm in a camp because it messes up your training, and I'm nervous to do it when I might get a call and when I can't train. So I kind of like to just do it right after a fight. It's been like 8 or 9 months now. I don't even know. I think maybe even 9 months since my last one. My last fight was June. So yeah.
Well, hopefully you get another chance to fight and get another tattoo, hopefully sometime soon this year. I saw that you had, it looks like you were having a lot of fun the other day, a birthday party and a Nerf war, was that?
Yeah, at my academy I own, we just renovated the downstairs, so we doubled our space, and a kid that I teach there, he wanted to do a birthday party there and do a Nerf gun war, so we set it all up and did a giant Nerf gun war with all the kids, and they all just went nuts, sprinting around, jumping off stuff, and shooting each other. And then we brought them upstairs and played some games and a little bit of the mixed martial arts stuff for them all to see. So yeah, that was a good time. It's always fun to do that at the academy and host these things for the kids.
For sure. Hey, let me ask you, man, real quick here. Who do you think is going to have a better mixed martial arts career, Dylan Dennis or Gary Tonin?
I'd say Tonin for sure.
Why is that?
I just actually, honestly, I don't know enough about Dylan Dennis. I know a lot about Gary Tonin. He came down actually to the school that I got my black belt under a little bit before he caught fire big time, and he taught a seminar. And I just think I don't know, the way he moves, he's just unbelievable. And I think his jiu-jitsu is just he's gonna catch a lot of people. I didn't see his debut, but I heard that he didn't even really try and grapple with the dude. So win a fight standing up. I mean, if anybody he wants to, he can dive on their legs and tap them out. You're not gonna be able to stop Gary Tonin from submitting you if you're an MMA fighter. There's such a huge divide between MMA, jiu-jitsu, talent-wise, and a pure jiu-jitsu athlete. Like, there's very few of them, that like the pure athletes. Like, most of us now start into everything all at once, but you got guys like Wonder Boy, who's that with karate, and then Damian Maia with jiu-jitsu. Now that new, I think he's a light heavyweight, who's that crazy K1 kickboxer. I can't remember his name, but there's a few of them that are the elitists that are just so good at one thing, and that's Tonin, but he's clearly able to win fights on his feet. So I'm super excited about him. But I guess I sort of spoke out of line because I really don't know much about Dylan Dennis. I just know he's got great jiu-jitsu, and he trains with Connor, right?
Yeah, he's 22 and he trains with Connor. That's really all I know about him, too, to be honest with you. Not too much is known about him, but Gary Tonin, man, he's the real deal. Yeah, you mentioned he finished his opponent in the round 2 via TKO, so he's going to be interesting to watch, see how he develops,
Yeah, and I think he's very marketable as well. Like, I think that if he was Connor's coach, he would be so much more famous than Dylan Dennis because he's wild and he's super funny. Him and Gordon Ryan are just kind of nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just, they're loud and they're just fun.
Well, I want to thank you for your time, man. I know that you are super busy, especially as of late. Real quick, man, if you could, we kind of have a tradition here. Could you just say this is Devin Powell and you're listening to the Did You See That Shit podcast?
This is Devin Powell and you're listening to the Did You See This Shit podcast.
I appreciate it.
All right, later.
All right.
Man.
That story is insane. He didn't even receive medical attention for 36 hours after. That's incredible.
I'm going to be 100% honest. I have fought through some pain.
87%, please.
I fought through some pain. I fought through a torn ligament, a couple torn ligaments in my shoulder. If anything ever happens to my testicle, take me to the emergency room immediately.
I mean, if the wind blows too hard, it's scary.
I know. Listen, man, I freaked out when I had a boner for too long. I ain't playing with that.
So there wasn't no UFC or Bellator last weekend, but for you diehards, there was still plenty of MMA action. Besides all of your local regional MMA, LFA 39 was on. That, of course, was headlined by Ian Heinz. He KO'd Gabriel Checo in the very first round. And then Invicta FC 29, that was a very fantastic card the whole way through. Sarah Kaufman rear naked choked Katharina Leahy in the third round to become the new 135-pound Invicta FC champion.
Congratulations.
Sarah Kaufman is amazing. Cageside Press wrote a great piece. I don't know if it was Jay Anderson. I believe it was Jay. Spoke with Sarah. She is now 20-4. I don't know why the UFC got rid of her.
I don't either, but you know what? Some person's trash is another person's treasure.
This is true.
And I'm enjoying her Invicta. You know?
Also on that card, a shout out to Chicago's own Pearl Gonzalez. She submitted Barbara Alacoy in the first round.
Making Chicago
fantastic.
proud out there.
And then Risen 10, maybe the best out of all of them.
The most craziest place I've ever seen in my life. What happened to me?
Crazy, man. Hiraguchi TKO'd Ian McCall in 9 seconds. That was
sent
the
me
headliner.
these on Twitter, and all I could say is, what happened in my life?
Well, in the kickboxing is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Tenshin Nakusawa had that crazy, ridiculous kick. That's the one you're referring to. Check our social media for it. It was ridiculous. And then Darren Cruikshank, he actually KO'd his opponent in the very first round with a head kick. So all in all, it was a really exciting card.
Yeah.
But,
Ian
Risen
McCall.
isn't as accessible.
No. Also, quick shout out to Triple G. If you are just a combat fan, he did get a KO in the second round in his fight. Yeah, dude, he's a beast. Canelo unfortunately got popped for some stuff, and we couldn't get that fight, but we did get a pretty good fight. Thank you, Triple G, for stepping in there and knocking some people out.
Yeah, it's silly, actually, because Luke Thomas actually made a fantastic point about that whole thing. He takes a stance on performance-enhancing drugs that's different than most, and I encourage you to hear his argument out because he's a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
But basically, he made a point like this, and it was in regards to the Triple G fight from this last weekend. He said, I'm so glad that in the interest of fairness in sport, I'm so glad that we took Canelo off this card. Even though he had a case that he could prove that he was innocent, I'm so glad we took him off the card in the interest of fairness of sport so we can put this can up against the best in the world. It's a good job if you call that fair. And you know what? I'm not doing his argument justice, but you can get my drift.
I get what you're saying, and I listened to his argument, and this goes towards MMA as well.
Absolutely.
This goes towards all sports. If you're going to make it a clean sport, you have to make it a clean sport. And unfortunately, you're going to have situations like this. And that's just the way it is. If we're not going to care, then we're not going to care. But we need to make that decision. And obviously, we don't care when it came to Pride or Risen. So
those weren't Western promotions. They're held to different standards.
True. I'm just saying.
Right or wrong, they are.
Yeah. I think the performance-enhancing conversation is an interesting one. And one that we might get into on one of our live streams.
Bellator is trying to book Rampage Jackson, Wanderlei Silva for the 4th time.
I don't care.
Yeah, I really don't too much either. How about Michael Bisping's Twitter rant?
Yo, is Michael Bisping the only dude that will knock you out and keep talking crap to you?
No, lots of guys will.
Michael Bisping is the one guy you never want to win.
Well, for people that are listening that aren't completely familiar with the story, basically Michael Bisping was just commenting on the possibility of his rival Rockhold, because Rockhold has made it official. He's going up to 205. So the possibility of Rockhold fighting Alexander Gustafsson. And Bisping said, I think Gustafsson would beat him, would destroy him. So
do I.
That, right. And Rockhold didn't take kindly. And then, they were going back and forth. And Rockhold accused him of being on drugs and alcohol because it was in the morning. And, you can imagine where Bisping took it. But
Bisping probably already said he was drunk. There's been times where Bisping's like, I was drunk. What's wrong with you?
He enjoys a cocktail. There's no wrong with it. He's a grown man.
He said it to George St. Pierre. Remember, he's like, you're hungover. He's like, yeah, I'm in Vegas. What do you think? Don't go up to 205, Rockhold.
James Vick finally gets the big opportunity he's been so desperately seeking against Paul Felder. I'm super stoked for this. This is going to take place in UFC Idaho.
The James Vick is, wow, you're getting a killer.
Yeah, number 11 ranked Vick against number 14 Felder. 13-1 Vick, 15-3 Felder. This is going to be a great fight.
Does this sound weird, but I feel that Paul Felder should be ranked higher than Vick?
No, because I had the same reaction. I had a double and triple take that Felder was 14.
Because it feels to me
like he's a top 10.
Because I feel that James Vick is stepping up in competition to face Felder.
Me too.
Where on paper, if people don't know crap, I guarantee Paul Felder's going to be the underdog.
You think so?
I think he is.
Ooh, I don't know. I'll have to look. I haven't seen the odds for it.
I think he is because people are stupid and Vegas is there. Put your money on Paul Felder. If he is an underdog,
I don't know.
Nothing against James Vick. I think James Vick can win. But if you have Paul Felder as an underdog, you have a good chance of winning money. No disrespect to either one of them. It's just that's kind of crazy.
Speaking of underdog, Illinois' own Josh Streaker. He is 5-1. I love this story, man, because he is on a 5-fight win streak. He lost his first professional fight and just went on a tear. And he just recently beat JP St. Louis. I encourage you to look it up. It's like a crazy
flurry.
blitz he went on, yeah.
But you know what was beautiful about that blitz? It was so technical.
It was.
We talked to him about this in their interview. He talked to us a lot about how he's able to be so calm and keep his composure and crazy things like that.
Here's our conversation with Streaker.
So I want to welcome Josh Streaker to the show. He is an impressive mixed martial artist from Illinois, so we have extra special love for our brethren here. He's 5-1 now after a huge victory. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just living the dream, kind of still in shock and awe about how it happened. It was brutal and devastating, but it's also like, I knew that was going to happen. I called it. I said it was going to happen. Don't stand with me.
Yeah, I mean, most of your fights end like that, right? I mean,
Yeah. The past 2 especially. So out of 16 fights, including my amateur career, I've got 9 knockouts. So 10 now out of 17 because I just added that last one last week. So yeah, it's definitely not a good idea. I got a funky style and I'm very accurate when I throw, you know?
Absolutely. You know, me and my co-host Apollo here,
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Paul? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man.
we were just talking a little bit before the show, and we were trying to figure out what fighter you reminded us of. Your style reminded
Oh
us
my God,
of a fighter, and Mike Quick Zwick came to mind.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever heard that comparison before?
Mike Quick Swift,
Yeah, Mike Quick Zwick.
kind of long and kind of rangy, huh?
Exactly.
And very good boxing, which I noticed immediately with your hand combinations.
Very fast, accurate hands.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard a bunch of different things, like a little bit of Carlos Condit, a little bit of Mike Swift, a little bit of like, I don't want to say Chuck Liddell, but like the counter striking ish, and then I mean I don't like saying this, but like an essence of McGregor with accuracy and pinpointness, you know. So it's. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a long time coming. I got some Taekwondo skills. That's my background, really. Started that when I was 7 years old. And then dove into, like, boxing, really took that under my wing. And even though my hands are down, I'm almost baiting you the entire time to do something stupid, you know?
Absolutely, man. I think you're one of the most exciting fighters we have here on the regional scene. That fight from last weekend, you know, that explosion that you had in round 2 to finish the fight, where did that come from? It's like all of a sudden, it's just like a switch gets flipped and you go berserk and you finish dudes.
Yeah, it's really cool. I think it's just like my awareness in the ring. You know, I'm always aware of the situation, what's happening, where his jaw's at. I may get hit a couple times in my face, but I see everything coming, you know? So that's where I can kind of, I don't know, take a couple shots to land mine with precision and accuracy, you know? So it's about being aware the entire time. So I think when you look at the replay, I kind of went through and knew he was going to peter out. Knew that first round he gave everything he had to knock me out and to put me away, and I was still standing. And it was cool. You saw me in the corner if you watched the fight pass, and I say, I'm going to catch him. If you look back at the replay, it's really cool because I knew, like, he gave me everything he had in that first round. So coming out in the second round, I kind of took a step back, switched to southpaw, threw a straight left down the pipe, caught him on the jaw, and at that moment, I knew he was, you know, on wobbly legs. And whenever somebody's, you know, hurt and you're aware of it, you just need to take advantage of that moment, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you the way that you're able to assess your striking, man, just shows how present you were right in the moment and how you're able just to recall that. That's very good, very high-level stuff there. Are you still spending most of your camps and most of your training at Clay Guida's MMA stop?
Yeah, so my coach, Danny Mulroney, he's over at learning from Greg Jackson himself. He goes down there probably once a year, maybe twice a year. And he's one of 2 brown belts in the Greg Jackson fighting system. So he brings a lot of that mindset, that mentality. Also excellent with pads. I dedicate all my handwork, all my boxing to him, and some of the creativeness I dedicate to him as well. You know, Mike Corey, Bellator veteran, excellent wrestling, but in like MMA style wrestling. He's also over there. He helps me a lot with my ground game and whatnot. And then, you know, to round it all off, Mulroney, my head coach, he goes through and trains from Damian Maya and goes on seminars and goes to learn from Eddie Bravo and people like this. So it's a hidden gem in the south side of Chicago, southwest suburbs, but I definitely love it there. But I also work for the UFC gym, and there's a lot of coaches that are really experienced. And so anytime I get a chance, you know, I'll roll up to UFC gym in Wrigleyville and train with, you know, Adil Benjalani. I'll train with Jimmy Doe, Glory kickboxer. I'll train with, you know, Paul Littleton, undefeated boxer. I'll train with a bunch of people, and it gets me kind of prepared. But I think the number one thing is just when you get in this fight game, you got to be mentally there. And I think that's my strongest suit, you know. I'm funky, I'm weird, I'm quirky, but, man, I just go out there and I have fun. And you know, it's about having fun when you walk in that cage and just staying loose. Don't let your mind take you over. And that's what I do. It's fun.
Wow, it's great to hear a guy who is so early in his pro career to be, as sound as you are. And your game is pretty sound because I noticed you have really good takedown defense. I was watching some of your videos, even in your amateur stuff, you were able to really keep the fight where you wanted to be.
Yeah. I definitely worked that really hard. So I've only lost 2 fights. And to be honest, I only think I lost 1 fight. It was my 3rd fight ever, and the guy took me down multiple times. And ever since that moment, I think that I just said that I'm not going to allow that to happen. And if I get taken down, I'm going to get right back up. And I put myself around the likes of Mike Corey. And I think one of the things that people try to do is they try to go above and beyond and like do crazy fancy stuff. And to be honest, like just good hips and like getting double unders and then having maybe 1 or 2 moves off of that, and you're going to be pretty solid, pretty slick, I mean, in the Bellator fights, I fought Thomas Holder. He took me down in the first round, and after that moment, it was like, all right, I'm not going to let that happen again. And the rest of the fights, he didn't take me down again, and he's a really good wrestler. So keep it simple, stupid, right?
Absolutely. That's something that as I get older, I'm definitely subscribing to more and more. All right. Is there anything that you'd like to add? The floor is yours. If any sponsors, anything else, man, you'd like to shout out?
Yeah, I'd love to thank Ellis Chiropractic for taking care of me. They're out in the suburbs now. They're excellent. If anyone wants to go to them, I'm a big believer in chiropractic care. I live in the city now, so the Universal Wellness Source, they take care of me physically for my chiropractic needs, as well as Ferreira Pan Fitness. They're off in Forest Park. They're excellent when it comes to stepping it up, the athletic level, kind of strength and conditioning. They also have excellent boxers, an excellent jiu-jitsu program out there in Forest Park. And then I would like to thank Brainstraw Financial. They're fantastic. I actually was super last minute on my taxes, so they helped me out for that. And then, UFC Gym, ATI Physical Therapy. I mean, the list goes on. I got a lot of people that are on my side. 2 Mics, if you're ever in Burbank, go over there. Nice little small sports bar. I love myself some sports, so I head there quite frequently whenever I'm out in the area. But yeah, man, thank you for having me on the show. This is always a blast. I'd love to get my name out. Love to get the word out that I'm a contender.
For sure. Anytime, man. I'd love to have you back on anytime. I mean it. Real quick before we let you go, you're a big sports fan. Who do you like in the NBA Finals?
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, how can you say – the one thing I want to do is Steph Curry comes back, then it'll be Houston versus Golden State. And I think Golden State will handle Houston. But without Steph Curry, I don't know, man. I think Houston's going to make it to the finals. And then on the East, I don't know, man. That's like a toss-up, dude.
No,
I mean, you got LeBron, right?
It's going to be
so
Philly.
You gotta go with LeBron.
I don't think it's going to be Philly.
It's going to be Philly, man. Joel Embiid, the best man on Instagram.
0 chance it's Philly. They're too young, too inexperienced. You got to put, the Spurs over here are sucking right now, but they've been where they're at because of all their experience the entire time. So, I don't know. I think it's Cleveland and Houston, and I think Houston will take it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Smart money though. If anybody is a betting man or you feel the need, plus 1,600 right now for Boston. So that's pretty good odds to that's just to win the East.
Damn.
So that's not bad. That's plus 1,600 on Bovado.
Oh snap!
Guys, let's go make some money.
Well, I appreciate your time, man. I'd love to have you back on, and best of luck to you.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you. Yep.
Take care, man. All right, there you go.
That kid has some serious promise. He's very young in MMA years.
For sure. Another guy who is so young and talented, Dominic Martin. Now, we usually don't have amateur fighters on the show, but every now and then when I deem one just so talented that's like a can't-miss prospect, like a for sure fighter, Bellator, or UFC guy, I just got to have him on the show, got to get him that exposure, Dominic Martin is one such dude we had a chance to speak with, and here he is.
I want to welcome Dominic Martin to the show. Amateur fighter, but I swear he is more active than just about any other martial artist out there. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. I'm on my way to the gym right now. Got done with a little R&R.
Much needed, too. As I said, you're very active. You just got back from a little road trip, though, right?
Yeah, we went to me and my buddy Steven Camp. A friend of mine I met through Mike Camp. He's a matchmaker with King of the Cage.
Mm-hmm.
We went out to Colorado to check out 303 Training Center before the Rose and JJ fight. Not to be a part of Rose's camp or anything, just to check it out and see kind of what Colorado's like and kind of experience it a little bit. I know one of the training coaches for jiu-jitsu out there. He invited me to come stay with him, so we went out and had that experience. It was pretty good. I look forward to going back out there. It's a little expensive, so I don't know about how living out there would go, but
Yeah, man, Colorado is one of the places that's actually the number one place on my short list of different states that I would like to live in, if not visit, because it's just beautiful. You have a little bit of everything in Colorado, you know?
yeah, for sure. You got the mountains. You can go see some woodland, some desert, whatever you want to see.
And then, Denver is a legit big city. I mean, not as big as Chicago, but it's a big city, So, yeah, a little bit of everything there. 303, that's one of the many camps they have. What did you think of the Joanna and Rose fight?
It went pretty much how I expected it to. I figured that loss to Rose would kind of humble JJ a little bit, so she would realize that the way that she was fighting would lead to, that over aggressive style, trying to go in for that hunt, especially against somebody that's not giving into your tactics and everything that you're trying to do to them. You go in there like, all right, now I'm going to show them while I was doing all that stuff. They're going to fear me after this. She went in there aggressive, got knocked out because of it, and slowed down for this one. And I thought even with her slowing down or anything, that Rose was still going to have that upper hand.
I thought it was a very good fight, man. I'll be honest with you. When I watched it, I thought Rose won, and then I rewatched it because at the post-fight press conference, Joanna was talking about how she thinks she won, and I was like, I don't think so. And I rewatched it, and the fight was a lot closer when I rewatched it. But whatever you think about the fight, Rose Namajunas has really came into her own. She is an amazing martial artist, huh?
Yeah, for sure. She's one of those people that truly embraces being a martial artist, It's not just a fight to her. It's not just another thing that she's going to accomplish. It's her life. And you hear her talk. She even says it in her own interviews. She usually doesn't train to beat any particular person. She's training to become a better fighter and person through her camps. And that's what I feel like a lot more fighters need to do.
If you can't appreciate the journey, then it's hard to enjoy it when you finally get there. I mentioned earlier that you're one of the more busier guys in the sport. Do you have anything lined up in the immediate future?
As far as fights go?
Yeah.
Yeah, May 5th on Cinco de Mayo. Pretty sure that's Cinco de Mayo. I fight at 35 for the first time.
Oh, wow.
I'll be making my third weight class appearance, just coming from a 55 title fight to a 35 title fight. I was walking around at 55. I couldn't be getting fights at 45, which is the weight class I normally fight. And I figured if 35 is where I want to go when I go pro, it's time to make the cut now and start figuring out the science and mathematics behind what I got to do to make it proper every time.
I want to point out that you're still a young kid in this game, and you have pretty much been doing this. I mean, Spencer Fisher helped you out a great deal early on, but for the last little while here, you've pretty much been doing this without a place to call home, right?
Yeah. For about a year now, I haven't really been training. I've been taking a bunch of fights. I took 4 fights in a month and, 3 fights before that and a couple fights after that even. Just haven't been doing anything other than road work, really, just keeping myself in shape. But I recently found a gym that's helping me out in Davenport. It's called Big Five. They're not an MMA gym per se yet. They're getting there. We got a couple of good guys in there at night, like Sean West and Junior Hernandez. A couple decent people come through. Pat Militich has been there a few times to teach a class every once in a while. So
very cool.
Definitely, it's better than not having a bag to hit. Not having anything, a mat to step on.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done a kick in I don't know how long. The other day I was sparring with Eric Wisely. He goes, yeah, man, good work. I was like, that sucked. Like it's been a long time since I felt like somebody was just one step ahead of me the whole way. He's like, oh, you did good. I was like, no, I didn't, man. I haven't sparred for a year. He was like, really? I wouldn't have known. I was like, you knew. Like, you knew. It's been a while. You took it easy on me.
Now, have you ever thought about moving to like Chicago or to like Florida or to one of the bigger areas with larger gyms?
Yeah, I would absolutely love to do that. I'm trying to do that now. It's just it's hard because where I'm at in my life outside of the gym, a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but I'm an open book and I'm honest about the game and the journey. This is all a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad, a couple years ago, got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So I've been taking care of him for a couple years now. And that's pretty much financially where all my money goes at this time. So I just can't afford to really get out anywhere that would offer me the work that I want to get.
No, I hear you, and that's one of the unfortunate things of the sport. You know, I mean, even at the higher levels, it's hard for guys to really make it, man. I hope that changes. And you know, you're a stand-up dude, man. You know, I don't know many guys your level, many guys your age, and with the talent that you have, man, at just such a young age, you are willing to put that not on hold, but just on a back burner to help take care of your father. I just think that's so admirable, man. That's such a great quality that you have there.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And I'm doing this whole thing for my family in the first place. So when something like that comes up, I'm the only person that is in the place to take care of him at this moment. So it's my responsibility. I can't leave my dad hanging. Can't leave him. You know, he didn't leave me. He took care of me.
Well, absolutely, man. Well, I can't wait to see what's next for you. How many pounds do you have to cut to get down to 135?
I fought March 9th at 155, and for that fight, by the end of it, I was just walking at 155 pounds.
Really?
So, like, going into this one, I was kind of walking at 155, and right about now, I would say after the water intake, I'm drinking coffee right now. I had a protein bar, 152, 153 probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I got up today at 51, cut a couple pounds in the morning, but you got to put the weight back on to stay able to do your workouts.
So about 18, right in that sweet spot, I'd say. Yeah. Not too terrible, but still that's a you know, pretty substantial amount of weight. But it seems like that you do it. You know, you understand what you're doing. You do it in the right way. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to. What's crazy to me is I'm talking to a lot of pro fighters nowadays as my name gets out there more thanks to you and, you know, a lot of other people like you who are helping local fighters. So shout out to you guys. But a lot of pro fighters are telling me I should be cutting even more weight to 25. They said I should be cutting like 30 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah, I told them they're crazy. I can't get to 25. If by some tragedy I get in a crash and become an amputee or something, maybe you'll see me at 25, but that's about the only likelihood.
Well, no one knows your body better than you, man. So, and at such a young age, I think you already understand that. I know that there's very big things in your future, man, because you not only do you have the right mindset, you have the work ethic and the talent. So there's going to be no stopping you once you get that exposure.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it coming from you, a guy that sees all the fights and has been around the game for a while. For you to say it, you know, it means something.
Well, I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you for having me. I'll talk to you again soon.
Kid is special.
Yeah, it definitely goes back to my point. Him and Streaker are two guys that, man,
Streaker's a pro.
he's a pro, but they're still both very young in their careers.
For sure.
Where are they going to be in a year or two?
It's exciting.
It's going to be very exciting.
Man, a lot of good things happening around this area. You know, we just talked about a couple of guys from this general area, and then of course, you know, Bellator just had an event here. We got great local, regional promotions here. We're blessed in that regard. And then PFL is going to be here. UFC is going to be here. It's like, this is great. Great time to be in the Chicagoland area, and be a fan in general of the sport.
I feel that Chicago's getting the best cards out here, and we are producing some of the best fighters out here. We really are. You know, there's something about the Midwest boys. We know how to fight.
I have a theory on this. I think it's because all the bullets that we have to dodge, it makes our reflexes so good.